KGVO Missoula Sports Talk Tonight and streaming online at Newstalk, KGVO.com.
Well, I'm back in the saddle again.
Oh, all those boring home movies and slides I have to sit through now.
Oh, I tell you what, Denny, what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Really?
But,
I'm disappointed to hear that, actually.
Tonight is Sports Talk Tonight.
Yep.
Live from the KGVO studios in beautiful Missoula, Montana. It's not been too bad of a day weather-wise. Yesterday was fairly gorgeous.
And you didn't do any sportsy things in Las Vegas anyway, did you?
You know what? I wandered over to the sports book a few times to place some bets on like the Mariners and some baseball stuff and the Seahawks again. And you know what? I always say, I'll get it tomorrow. I'll get it tomorrow. And then pretty soon it's time to go, and it's like, oh man, I never placed my bets. So, and I never win my bets when I place them anyways. So, so what the hell? I save myself some money.
Well, if that's as close as you got, we don't need to make you spill the beans on your Vegas trip.
Oh gosh.
But our thanks to Sports Information Director Eric Tabor, University of Montana, who filled in admirably for you, got us caught up a wee bit on spring football practice. Not that there's been a lot, and there'd been even less a week ago. So. But it was nice to have Eric in here. We need to get Coach Shannon Schwain of the Lady Grizz in here. They got their poker tournament coming up. We need to get Kent Haslam, the AD, in here and find out how the Champion Center's coming along. So
talked to Shannon yesterday. She's supposed to be here next week.
Nice.
Right here in our KGVO studios. Remember, we are streaming worldwide on newstalkkgvo.com. On the AM side, 1290. Over on the FM, 98.3. Follow us on Twitter at Sports Talk Back. Podcasts online at newstalkkgvo.com, and our phone number, as always, is 721-1290. Denny, did you miss me? Probably not.
I did miss you, yeah, because we were going to get kind of caught up on our March Madness brackets, even though they're not, yours and my brackets aren't. I think you probably won by default.
Well, you know what, Denny? If I won and you won, then that means Kyle lost, and he's buying pizza and beer. We have ourselves a non-winner.
Yeah, we were talking the other day, Kyle, and I said, well, Guernsey's got the bracket. We have no ideas, so he can doctor it up any way he wants. Person that won it, I think, because I think we both picked Kansas to win it all. Yeah. I never even got to the Final Four. In fact, I only got one team into the Final Four. That's pretty bad, so...
I don't believe I had any.
Oh, wait, maybe I won then.
Maybe I had a lead, but that lead can shrink in a hurry.
You know who won is Jennifer Bedard, because she picked North Carolina to win it all. She did not pick them to beat Gonzaga, I don't think.
Is her favorite color baby blue or something?
Nah, I don't know. Just
or periwinkle or whatever.
Hey, she got it right. So
yeah.
We didn't.
Yeah, well, yeah. Gosh darn it.
But exciting championship game. I mean, how can you not root for Gonzaga in a deal like that? I've always been kind of a North Carolina and Roy Williams fan, so I didn't have a big problem with that. But how could you not root for Gonzaga? It was an exciting game, and not because either team, I thought, played to their.
It was an ugly game.
Yeah, they did not play to their full potential. It was one of those deals that if either of the two teams had played like they're capable of playing, it probably would have been kind of lopsided one way or the other, but it just never happened.
Well, and I thought that Gonzaga came out in that first half, and they started draining those threes.
Yeah.
Into the first half, Gonzaga was something like 5 of 12, and North Carolina was like 2 of 15, or it was some astronomical number.
And one kid was kind of stealing the show in that, and then he doesn't score in the second half, so that gets a little bit tough. Perkins had 13 in the first half and doesn't score in the second half. But it was that last couple minutes there where it just, if there was some little thing that could go wrong in Gonzaga's game plan, it went wrong in that final minute or two.
Well, and who was help me with the name here, Denny, the 7-foot freshman kid from Vegas.
Yeah, Collins. Yeah, he's going to be a player.
When he got into foul trouble,
yeah.
I think that changed the whole complexion of the game. That kid as a freshman. And Gonzaga, they have always done a really good job of going out and getting, number one, some local players, the Adam Morrisons and what have you, the John Stocktons and what have you.
Oh, yeah.
But they've always done a great job of going and getting those overseas players. And the big, I can say this because I'm a Pollock, the big Pollock in the middle was a beast, although he played terrible.
He had a rough game. It was like he was about an inch and a half off. That was it. I mean, shots that looked like they were going to go down, they'd kind of go down, come back out, off glass, and then kick off the side of the rim. He was just a couple inches off his game. I mean, North Carolina's a great defensive team, but I don't know that was it as much as it was nerves or just one of those dumb luck deals. But he could not buy one of those shots that he normally does in his sleep. That hurt.
You got Tilly, kid from France. So anyways, Gonzaga always has those good foreign players. But what I think set them apart this year is they had a couple of transfers. They did. They had Williams and Williams-Goss, right. I believe.
Missouri and Washington, respectively, I believe. So, yeah, that and you got to believe that a program that, I mean, they had risen to prominence years ago, but now they've really risen to prominence. You know that more of that success just manifests success, and I think they'll be fine next year. I know that they're losing some premier talent.
Not many. All they're losing is the big guy in the middle, as far as I know.
The well is not going to be completely dry for them. So, and I think that Collins kid, the freshman, he showed a lot. But that was my biggest concern. I had said that to my brother, who he lives in Spokane's a Gonzaga fan, managed to get tickets through his son's job connections to go to the semifinal rounds. And he was all excited to go into the championship game. And I just thought, well, the big dudes have got to stay out of foul trouble. And the big dudes did not stay out of foul trouble.
Hey, the phone's ringing. I mean, do we have we're talking Gonzaga. We got a lot of...
You Phil, I better go visit.
I am going to, Phil. And for all of you that are looking for... If you're not going over to the spring game in Butte on April the 22nd, there is something pretty cool going on. Denny, and we'll talk about this. They had it's called Strides for Castlemans.
Yeah.
And they had a fun run this past weekend that was very successful, and they're having a tri-tip dinner horseshoe tournament on the 22nd. It's going to be an all-day party. It's going from like 12 noon until the bar closes out there at Benny's Frenchtown Club. Tri-tip dinner, horseshoe tournament, live music. County Lion's going to be out there. Showdown's going to be out there. It's going to be a cool event, and for those of you that don't know what Castleman's is, it's a very rare disease of the lymph nodes, and I know this because the organizers are friends of mine, and she actually has Castleman's disease, and it's a disease that's hard to detect, and there's not a lot of people that know anything about it, but they're raising money, and it's $10 for adults, $5 for a child. You get a tri-tip dinner. It's a really good deal, and that's April the 22nd. Out there in Frenchtown at Benny's Frenchtown Club.
Nice.
So.
All right, cool.
Did we just get prank called over there?
It was a foreigner who had inherited millions of dollars that wanted us to hold it for them, so I gave him your credit card number. I hope you don't mind.
Thank you.
Yeah. But we will use that phone line. It's not just going to be you and me chattering here. We'll get to some more basketball, but
this is interesting.
I think so.
Tell us about our guest.
Well, imagine the thrill of you're a radio play-by-play guy, and you get to call the game. You get to call the Final Four courtside.
Number one, that's amazing.
Yeah. Can you imagine the election and the game, the first game? Anyway, I'm sorry they lost the championship game, but still that semifinal game.
Well, but who are we talking about?
His name is Jason Crowder. Jason is the play-by-play announcer for Mississippi State women's basketball. A friend and an acquaintance. I think they've just gotten to know each other through some of Peter Christian's commercial production business, but he's a buddy of Peter Christian. So Peter said, hey, Jason, be willing to talk to you guys if you need somebody for a little while on Sports Talk Tonight. I said, yeah, let's get a radio play-by-play guy that's been to the Final Four. So, and we have the call. The winning shot in overtime that propelled Mississippi State to the championship game over UConn.
And if he thought...
Which, we talked about North Carolina and Gonzaga. How about that in that semifinal? You take down a team that had won 111, and I guess law of averages sooner or later, but, people's calling it the biggest upset in women's basketball. I don't know about that because I thought Mississippi State was a pretty dang good basketball team.
If he thought he was famous before, just wait till he comes on our program.
That's right. Yeah, you talk about the
sink or swim.
You talk about the cherry on top. So we'll get to him in a few minutes.
It's kind of like you winning the Super Bowl. They're gonna Russell Wilson's gonna say, "I'm going to Missoula, Gurnz and Bedard."
I'm gonna be on Sports Talk Tonight. Yeah. So.
Well, hey,
we'll get to him in a few minutes.
Yeah, why don't we hit it out of the park with some trivia?
I think we had Otta 721-1290. If you know the answer to this week's trivia question, that's 721-1290, and the correct caller will receive gifts from our sponsors, Fuddruckers on North Reserve, world's greatest hamburgers, whatever you order off that phenomenal menu of theirs, whether it's beef or elk or buffalo, whatever they got, you get to go top it yourself. You pile on the toppings exactly the way you love it, or experiment a little bit, try something a bit different. Either way, top it yourself at Fuddruckers. We have a $10 gift certificate. And from Brent and the crew at Happy Days Car Wash, a gift card for the Works Car Wash. That'll get your car clean, I'll tell you what. Happy Days Car Wash is located on Brooks between Pizza Hut and Fairbridge Inn. They also got the dog wash there if it's time for the poochie to get a little bit cleaner. So got those gift certificates for you at 721-1290 if you can answer our trivia question. We will be talking Mississippi State women's basketball in a few minutes, but is there a connection between Mississippi and Montana Grizzly football? The Grizz have played how many teams from the state of Mississippi in football in their history? Is that A, 2, B, 4, or C, 0? The Grizz have played how many teams from the state of Mississippi in football? Is that A, 2, B, 4, or C, 0? We need a winner, and we need one now so we can clear the line for Jason. 721-1290 there, Gurnz.
Sports Talk Tonight is brought to you in part by Orange Street Food Farm, locally owned and operated grocery store featuring the freshest fruits and vegetables, fresh meats, and a great beer and wine selection. And by Grizzly Liquor, located downtown next to the Iron Horse, Big Sky, Big Selection, and online at grizzlyliquor.com. And we come back, have ourselves a trivia winner, and Mr. Jason Crowder.
Yep.
Down there,
Starkville, Mississippi.
Hey.
Right. Very good.
Wow. When we come back on Sports Talk Tonight.
721-1290 if you know the answer.
Now back to Missoula's Sports Talk Tonight on KGVO.
Missoula Sports.
Every second of every day.
We are back. Sports Talk Tonight, Gurnz and Bedard, brought to you in part by Bell McCall Ford. Great selection of new and used cars, trucks, and SUVs. Bell McCall is your locally owned, low-cost auto dealer for over 100 years in beautiful downtown Hamilton, Montana. And by Granite Pharmacy, a locally owned and operated pharmacy on South Avenue between Shopko and Big Sky High School. Find them at granitepharmacy.com. Denny, we do not have a trivia winner, but that's okay because we are winners right now.
Yeah. I thought it'd be a little bit easier than that. We could probably still get another player in if they want to. The Grizz have played how many teams from the state of Mississippi in football? Yeah, I know we're talking basketball, but how many teams from the state of Mississippi has Montana played in football? Is that A, 2, B, 4, C, 0? 721-1290 if you know the answer to that. But right now, we're about to start talking basketball, and as you and I were talking in the first segment there, the excitement of the Mississippi State women's basketball team victory over UConn. Let's listen to that final call.
Dribbling with the left hand, Dillingham coming up the floor. Dillingham gets across the timeline, will work between the circles. Dillingham, 4 seconds, 3 seconds to Morgan Williams. Morgan Williams is going to have to put it up, fires it up, and it is good! It's good! It's good! It's good! It's going to the national championship. Morgan Williams, don't stop believing. The Bulldogs are playing for a title. Morgan Williams at the buzzer. Oh, my goodness.
We need some Journey here. Don't stop believing.
No, sir. The voice of the Mississippi State Bulldogs, Jason Crowder from, I assume you're in Starkville, right, Jason? Let's see. Hold on. I got to do a couple things here to the phone system, girl. Don't go away.
Push the button.
Yeah, got to do that. And I got to do, let's see here. I'll get there. See, I'm trying not to cut somebody off. See, I got two people on the line, and I assume you're calling from Starkville, right, Jason?
Well, I was in Starkville earlier today. I had an interview scheduled with Dan Mullen. Had a Fellowship of Christian Athletes radio interview for my local station, and then I had to drive back 35 miles to my hometown and now I'm headed back to Starkville for a private dinner tonight. So I'm used to being all over the place with Mississippi State women's basketball. We traveled in 5 weeks in the non-conference 17,000 miles. We were in Atlanta, Maine, Detroit, Memphis, Seattle, Honolulu, Los Angeles, Biloxi, Mississippi, Hattiesburg. We were absolutely everywhere, all over the map. So it was a lot of fun. It's been a great season.
Jason, this is Scott Gurnz, and if you're all over the place, and you're welcome on the show, and you fit right in, because that's we are always all over the place. My first question for you is: was it more exciting to know you're going to the national championship game, or was it more exciting to know that you just knocked off UConn in their 111-game win streak?
National championship game. At least that's what was going on through my head, because Starkville, Mississippi, and the whole state of Mississippi is absolutely starved for a national championship. Mississippi State is the only school in the Southeastern Conference that does not have a team title. There's some individual titles in track, and I think 1 or 2 in tennis. Disc golf, but that's a club sport. There's 2 of those. But MSU does not have a national title. Ole Miss claims some. That's our big rival. They claimed some in football in the 60s. Notice how I said claimed, because that's what a lot of Mississippi State fans say they do. They're claiming, because there were a bunch of different polls out there. Some said that Ole Miss was number 1, and then other polls would say maybe another school like Minnesota or something. But hey, you have to give the Rebels credit for that. But Mississippi State wants a national championship in the absolute worst way. It was so historic Monday night that dignitaries from Mississippi were everywhere in Dallas, Texas. 20,000 people, most of them wearing maroon, waving maroon and white pom-poms. Of course, it's about a 9-hour drive from Starkville. There was Robin Roberts from Good Morning America, who's a Mississippi native, played college ball at Southeastern Louisiana, but she was there rooting for MSU. She spoke to the locker room following the victory over UConn. Dan Mullen, the football coach, was there. Dak Prescott, quarterback of the Cowboys, was there. He's a Mississippi State alum. There was football players, former women's basketball players, all coming in. Rafael Palmeiro, the former major leaguer, was there, rooting on his alma mater. It was such a big deal, and I'm sure I'm leaving somebody out that was a dignitary that follows the maroon and white. The, of course, president and athletic director, they're obligated to be there, and they were there. And I think national championship. But now, since that national championship has fallen to the wayside, it's UConn. When you reflect back on it, what a tremendous feat that these girls have done. 111 games in a row, one of the greatest streaks in college athletic history. And Mississippi State has its name etched there, especially Morgan William, who made the game-winning shot.
Well, and it's just as Mississippi State's up there with whoever beat UCLA to end their streak, correct?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's correct, and I'm trying to think of who that was that beat UCLA. I'm trying to think it off the top of my head.
Denny, you were in high school, weren't you?
What a jerk!
I was young. I was really, really little.
No, Denny, not you, Jay. You sound very, very young and cherubic.
Yeah, I don't. I want to say.
If you notice.
Oh, I know. I want to say Notre Dame.
Huh? Notre Dame. That's correct.
Oh, thank you, Jason.
I believe that's correct.
Yeah. So shut up, Gurnz. Yeah. Watching when you're observing that other semifinal game, you're probably thinking, "Oh man, we played this team twice during the season, South Carolina, and if we move on, we got to play them a third time." Was it kind of one of those deals? And Stanford, Stanford and UConn both had Samuelson kids on their teams, and when Stanford Samuelson went down, I'm kind of thinking they don't, that's probably going to change the complexion of this game. I acknowledge that South Carolina had lost a premier player during the course of the year as well in the tournament, but when Samuelson went down, tried to come back in, but she was not going to be, the nation's highest percentage three-point shooter in the last few minutes of that game after that injury. Were you kind of thinking, oh boy, I wish it was going to be Stanford, or was it, all right, South Carolina, third time, bring it on?
Well, I think there was a lot of confidence that State could compete with and beat South Carolina. I'm looking back at it now with Stanford as the opponent. No disrespect to any Cardinal fans. Mississippi State's dreams of a national championship come true. I really honestly believe the Bulldogs have a little more energy. I think they play a little better against Stanford because Stanford's so unfamiliar with State, and I think that would actually hurt Stanford more than Mississippi State being unfamiliar with Stanford.
Yeah.
Now, they're a great team. Don't get me wrong, an excellent team. Now, South Carolina posed a matchup problem for MSU. And you mentioned Elena Coates. I think South Carolina, as crazy as this sounds, was more of a matchup problem for MSU without Elena Coates, because it put Aisha Wilson in a spot to have a little more room to be one-on-one inside.
Oh.
Because Aisha Wilson is more athletic than Tierra McCowan, State's 6'7" center. She's more athletic than State's backup center, 6'5" Chinwe Okorie. And the Bulldogs had gotten in foul trouble when Elena Coates played them earlier in the season in Columbia, and the Bulldogs really should have won that game. They lost by 3, had a couple of cracks at the basket up underneath their own basket with a couple of inbounds with less than a minute to go.
Yeah.
And, of course, a lot of people talk about officiating, but the Bulldogs had an opportunity in talking with the players after the game. Hey, we had a chance to win this, and we didn't. So they didn't want to blame the officials. But I think South Carolina, the pace of the game without Elena Coates on the floor, with them going up and down, hurt Mississippi State. The Bulldogs have had trouble in transition defense a lot this year. Where they adjusted to it better was against Texas in December. They didn't adjust very well to it against South Carolina, even though I don't think South Carolina's fast break point beat MSU as far as the overall game. I do think Bianca Cuevas-Moore was the star defensively for South Carolina because they limited Morgan Williams. William was tired. I'll just be flat out honest. William had just basically run out of gas.
Well, and she got benched, right? I mean, she did not. Yeah, she didn't even play the fourth quarter, right?
No, she didn't play the fourth quarter. And let me tell you, Vic Schaefer's getting criticism like I've never seen Vic Schaefer get criticism. And I've been asked the question, if I've been asked once a thousand times, why didn't Morgan Williams play in the final minutes of that game? Now, if you remember Morgan Williams, when she was in the game, that's when the Bulldogs got back within 4. But at the same time, Jasmine Holmes had more energy and ran the offense well. I think a lot of people are looking at Morgan Williams scoring. They look at her with 41 points against Baylor. They look at her with that game-winning shot against UConn. She had 13 against the Huskies. Everybody's looking at scoring. Well, why did you? But that's not what you have to have out of your point guard. If you understand basketball, know basketball, it's energy from your point guard, and it's your point guard being the quarterback of your offense. Great quarterbacks don't always run for touchdowns, right? They throw for them, or even if they don't throw for them, they're running their offense efficiently. There have been many great quarterbacks from the University of Alabama that don't have a lot of touchdown passes or rushing touchdowns, but they manage the offense well. And I think that's what Jasmine Holmes did. It was other folks around her that couldn't score. And South Carolina was the better defensive team, and they went on runs and stopped MSU runs. They answered when the Bulldogs started to make things interesting and just crowned them champions. The Bulldogs could beat them 3 times this year, but they could have easily lost to them 3 times, and they lost to them 3 times.
Wow. Well, in spite of the controversial decision in that game, I think anybody who follows women's basketball, they know the name Dawn Staley. That's pretty much a household word name, but Vic Schaefer wasn't, probably is not. What's your relationship with him? He seems like the kind of guy that would just be a real joy to be around all the time.
Was that sarcasm or something?
No.
Well,
just that down-home ball of energy and,
he is. The thing about Vic Schaefer, and the reason why I thought maybe you were being sarcastic about it is because he's known for his intense coaching.
Well, yeah.
He's known for folding his arms late in the fourth quarter when his team's up by 40, stomping his feet, and still coaching.
Because he's Gino Ariema then.
Right. That's what makes him a winner. You know, we joke a lot of times, who's going to take their coat off faster, me or Vic Schaefer? And usually Vic Schaefer always wins because a lot of these arenas you go in, they're hot, and it's hard to wear your sports coat in there. But we joke about Vic, taking off his coat. He's very animated with the officials. But that's just how passionate he is about the game. That's how passionate he is about his girls. And, yeah, he is a lot of fun. And I'll tell you, the weight of the world seemed to go off his shoulders after that Baylor win. That was an old Big 12 rivalry, with the coach Kim Mulkey. Nobody wants to lose to Kim Mulkey, and I'm not speaking for Coach Schaefer. I'm speaking for the rest of the college basketball world. She's not popular. Let's just face it.
All right.
Kim Mulkey has created her own image. Take from that what you want from what I just said. I'm not a big fan of her personally, but her as a coach, she's excellent. So it was good to win over her. It was good to win over Baylor, a team that's not very well liked around the nation, and especially with the comments that the coaches made recently. So I think the weight of the world was off his shoulders. Getting to that Final Four, Vic Schaefer came to Starkville and made a lot of promises that a lot of people snickered at. He made a lot of promises that a lot of people, as my color analyst says, gave him the smile and the old courtesy head nod, but in their mind going, yeah, right. And he has created an atmosphere at Mississippi State and women's basketball. Guys, let's face it, this is football country. This is baseball country. And he's packing out the arena for 10,500 on a couple occasions. Once against South Carolina last year, this year against Tennessee. And he's also creating an atmosphere where we average 6,000 to 7,000 fans a game.
Wow. And
women's basketball now is the premier sport at Mississippi State currently as we speak. Guys, the atmosphere was very football national championship-like around Dallas, Texas. The hotel following the UConn win was as wild. It was an atrium that had 14 floors flowed out. People were hanging over balconies, ringing cowbells at 1:30 in the morning, waving pom-poms and screaming to the top of their lungs as if we had just won a national championship. That's how passionate Mississippi State is about their athletics.
This is Sports Talk Tonight. You are listening to Mississippi State women's basketball play-by-play announcer Jason Crowder. He is back from Dallas in the Final Four of the women's 2017 NCAA championships, where Mississippi State goes down in defeat to South Carolina 67-55, but they did knock off UConn, ending their 111-game winning streak. And talking about Dallas and the atmosphere down there, I mean, is it just carnival-like? Is there bands playing? Is there events? What's it like down there for the fan?
Oh, it's wonderful. You know, the Final Four is the Super Bowl of college basketball. And you see so much of it on the men's side. You wonder, well, is the women's side really that exciting? Oh, absolutely. It's just half the people. I mean, you're playing an arena of 20,000 people versus those big domes of 40,000, where 40,000 or 50,000, maybe even 60 come. I mean, I don't know how many really attend the men's Final Four. It just looks like there's a whole heap of them. I've never been to a men's Final Four. But the women's Final Four, to me, is better because every fan in the stands has a good seat. And, yes, there's bands battling. There's just the lights, the pageantry. It was awe-inspiring walking through that tunnel close to tip-off. Well, actually, we had an hour-long pregame show. This was actually going from the locker room in the back. Our color analyst does halftime. And I was in the back outside the locker room doing some pacing. But when you walk back through that tunnel right behind the team and you hear the roar of that crowd and you see the light bulbs flashing, you know it's the biggest stage in women's college basketball and college basketball, period. It'll make the hair stand up on the back of your neck. That's awesome. Was an experience like none other.
You know, I'm not trying to be mean, Jason, but I hope you never get to go to a men's Final Four.
Why is that?
Because you'll be doing other things at the women's Final Four, like announcing Mississippi State.
Exactly. You know, Big Schaefer left his press conference today, and he made the comment, "We'll be back." And in every promise that he's made that has come true in just 5 seasons, I believe it.
Well, you know,
whether they'll be back next year or not.
Okay.
They're going to go back to the Final Four if we can keep Big Schaefer.
That was my next question for you, to peek ahead a little bit to 2017-18. How would you assess the team's talent at this point?
I hate to say this because, I mean, this is coming from the inside, not necessarily Big Schaefer or the coaches, but a lot of people that have talked with the coaches and people from the travel party claiming that this is going to be a better team in 2017. I don't think it's going to be as deep just because of the experience that you're losing. You're losing 4 seniors. The 4th spot's going to be tough because you're losing a Brianna Richardson, who was a starter and played in the most career games of any of the Bulldogs in women's basketball history. I was like 140-something games. And then you've got Katera Chappell, who was a 6'1", post coming off the bench at the 4th spot, who brought a lot of experience. She didn't bring a lot of production as far as offense, but she was big off the bench this year in a couple of key games. She hit a 3 against Texas A&M from the left wing with about 2 minutes to go to put the Bulldogs up by 1 that gave MSU that momentum. That was the possession the Bulldogs really needed to do well on when they were trailing by 2 on the road. That's Vic Schaefer's, of course, former school where he was associate head coach when they won the national championship in 2011. So she was big in a couple of games. So many players were stars at different times this year, and a couple of them were those seniors. But most offensive production is coming back a year from now. There's a talented guard by the name of Maya Taylor to McDonald's All-American nominee that everybody wanted. She's a lot like a Victoria Vivian, who is a junior, will be a senior next year on the team. I think there's going to be a lot of talent. And Tiara McCowan's going to be a year older. She'll be a junior. She's at 6'7", really working on her game. Amisha Williams out of Gulfport, Mississippi, was one of those a lot of people missed out on her recruiting. She's a very long, athletic four-spot player. She's got a wingspan like around 7 feet, who can step out on the perimeter and make buckets. She can also defend on the perimeter really well. You know, you see a lot of 5s and 4s when they get out on the perimeter. Sometimes there's that mismatch. It's not that with Amisha Williams. So she's just got some raw talent that she's got to rein in, and they got to coach up to get her ready for next year. So I think the Bulldogs could make another run in the NCAA tournament. Final Four or not, I don't know. It's really hard to get there. But just give Vic Schaefer time. He's going to go back, and he may cut down the nets for it all. If the Bulldogs can keep him, they're going to do everything in their power to keep him. The only concern I have about losing Vic Schaefer is if that Texas A&M job ever comes open. And because he is an Aggie. He is born and bred in Texas. He's a graduate of Texas A&M.
Okay.
And you know that's a very special fraternity down there in College Station. That's my fear. But Vic Schaefer has come to Starkville and realized that Mississippi State is family, too. There's a lot of similarities between the Bulldogs and Aggies. And he has really, really come to love Starkville and this fan base. He came in and said, we're going to get 10,000 in that hump. We're going to have these luncheons a couple of times a month throughout the season where boosters can come out and meet the players and have lunch with us. And Coach Schaefer could scout the next opponent. There could be a video watch of highlights. He said, we're going to pack the place. He said, we're going to put women's basketball on the map in Mississippi State. And he's done those things. And a lot of us kind of snickered at him, but he's done it.
There you go.
Well, Jason, I know you got a private dinner or a dinner commitment you got to get to, and I think we have a new team. I think we have a new team in the Mississippi State Lady Bulldogs that we need to be following here as we go forward, Denny.
Well, yeah, but you got to say it like Jason does. He drops the L's near as I can tell. I think it's pretty much Bulldogs, but isn't it? Either that or it's B-O. I'm not Bulldogs. I'm not sure which. But
we have a weird Southern drawl here. And the crazy thing is, I actually speak very normal compared to a lot of people.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But here's the thing, though. A lot of Southerners can't understand that Westerners or Northerners or Westerners either. So it goes both ways.
It does. Heck, we're just going to plan to have you on at this time a year from now after you win the national title. How's that?
Hey, I'll come on anytime. I know we're thousands of miles away, but anytime you guys need me, I'll be. Hey, am I eligible to answer that trivia question? I don't really know the answer. I would be just giving a stab at it anyway, but.
You know what? No, you're not, and here's why. You're still live on the radio, and because I don't, I'm in this studio an hour a week, and so I don't know this studio like the back of my hand. So I had you on I've got you on like line 5 on the top bank, and when I asked the question, 2 or 3 other lines started ringing, but Denny, being the numbskull that he is running this board, I let the call. So I'm going to try the trivia question again here, and when we're done.
I'll tell you what. Y'all are true radio professionals blaming each other for radio mistakes. That's a true radio professional right there.
Oh, well, I guess it was Scott's fault. Scott screwed me up then.
It's always somebody else's fault.
Yeah. No, I was taking all the blame for that one, but I'm going to follow your advice. But I will text you the answer when I'm done. How's that?
Please, because I'm interested.
Right.
I've got a school off the top of my head, but I don't want to give anything away here.
Yeah.
So.
All right, you got a deal.
Well, Jason,
God bless, guys.
Thanks, Jason.
Jason, thank you for joining us, and good luck next year. Go Lady Bulldogs.
Thank you. Anytime you need me, just let me know.
You got it, man.
Take care.
All right.
Jason Crowder.
He's good.
Wow, Mississippi State women's basketball play-by-play announcer. That's cool.
I know. Can you imagine the excitement of that?
We're all over the country, Danny.
I can't imagine the expense of that. They don't give those broadcast rights away in that tournament. I mean, you start at gosh, I don't know. I want to say the broadcast rights are like $700 to $1,000 per game just to be there. But that's the early rounds, and I'm sure the further you advance, the more that is. So, wow. Get your money's worth while you're there.
Very cool.
But that is what happened, and I'm really sorry to the listeners who tried to get in. We probably had a winner in there somewhere. That's why I didn't want to give Jason the answer on the air, because let's try it again. We asked. Is there a connection between Mississippi and Montana Grizzly football? The Grizz have played how many teams? from the state of Mississippi in football. So if you're not too mad at me to call back, 721-1290 is the number to call. The answer, the choices, the Grizz have played how many teams in Mississippi? Is it from Mississippi? A, 2, B, 4, or C, 0. So this time I'll get the phone right. I promise. If you want to try that, it's 721-1290 for our trivia prize.
Give us a call. We'll make you a winner. We'll be right back. Sports Talk Tonight.
Sports Talk Tonight, live from the KGVO studio.
Missoula Sports.
We are back. Sports Talk Tonight, brought to you in part by Jerry Wessel's Tire Center. Locally owned Les Schwab Tire Center provides the best tire value promise. Visit them online at jerrywesselstirecenter.com and by CHS and Mountain West Co-op, Western Montana's source for Cenex fuel, feed, fertilizer, clothing, and tack for over 75 years. We would like to thank our very special guest, Mississippi State women's basketball play-by-play announcer Jason Crowder. He is brought to you, as always, by First Montana Bank, your home for free Centennial checking, plus unlimited cash back every time you use your debit card online at firstmontanabank.com.
You know what I didn't ask him? My sense is that it's been a while. I didn't ask him how many years that he's been calling Mississippi State basketball, but you got to assume it's at least a handful because the guy had such a passion for it. I think he said during the interview that he doesn't do the halftime show. The color analyst doesn't.
He's pacing
while he goes out in the hall and paces around for 15 minutes. So
you always want to put a face with a voice, you know.
Yeah. But okay. He was a hoot. He'd be. Let's get Mississippi State to come on up and play the Lady Grizz so we can meet the guy. That's our job. We'll talk to Shannon about that next week when she comes in.
Now, has the basketball team ever played Mississippi State, men's or women's?
Not to my knowledge, Mississippi State. Maybe somebody could correct me. The Grizz, the men's team, played at Mississippi this season. Gave them a heck of a game, too. I think they only ended up dropping them by about 4. But as far as any connection between Mississippi State and Montana athletics, that one, not too sure.
Yeah. All right.
I'd be real surprised.
Denny, we're going to jump to the stupid athlete of the week. We're going to save the steal for the usual spot, but the stupid we're going to hit. We just need to step away from this national championship game. But my stupid referees of the week were the referee team in the national championship game. I mean, just a ridiculous amount of fouls called in that game, completely wrecked the flow of the game.
Yeah,
any continuity, it was, and I'm not going to say it was bad one way or the other, but it was just kind of bad all around. It contributed to the ugliness of the game, and you had such great games in the semifinal round. Gonzaga 77, South Carolina 73, and UNC 77, Oregon 76. That as far as I was concerned, it was kind of anticlimactic. The national championship game was just real ugly, and I think the refs had a lot to do with that.
Well, and I think Bill Raftery, the color analyst for CBS Sports, who I just get the biggest kick out of, I think he's terrific. He even made a point of, I can't remember the word he used, if he said the officials have finally relaxed the game or the term he used, but yeah, it was like for 30 minutes those guys, did they just come back from a clinic or something? Were they well, we better show what we learned here.
Hey, look, I'm on TV. Hey, let's call a foul.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. Here's a whole bunch of premier college athletes, big stars that people would love to see on national television tonight. Why don't we get them in foul trouble? Let's ticky-tack our way through a half and a half of this game. So
yeah,
and maybe they were all legitimate calls, but you're right. It got frustrating.
Yeah, and let's stick on this topic of basketball. Couple of things. Patrick Ewing was hired as the new head coach at Georgetown.
New Hoya guy, yeah.
Patrick Ewing, one of the all-time great NBA and college basketball players, was a 3-time All-American at Georgetown. He's going to try to resurrect that program that's ever since Allen Iverson's left, kind of been not too good. And the other thing in the NBA, and who cares about the NBA to tell you the truth? We had the Final Four, and that was great. Russell Westbrook of the Oklahoma City Thunder is on the verge,
Mr. Triple-Double,
of doing something that only one other player has done in the history of the NBA, and that's average a triple-double over the course of the season. And a triple-double is scoring and averaging double digits in any one of 3 of 5 categories: points, rebounds, assists, steals, and blocks. Yeah. And Michael Westbrook right now is averaging 31.6 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 10.4 assists a game. In fact, they said if he has one more triple-double, he will solidify those marks, and he will finish with that, averaging that. Oscar Robinson, in the year that he did it, the Big O, had 41 triple-doubles. Russell Westbrook has 41 triple-doubles right now. He's on pace for 43. And if you watch the guy play, he's fearless. Kevin Durant, the Batman to his Robin, went to Golden State this past year. And I tell you what, I am not an NBA fan, but I am a fan of great athletes. And Russell Westbrook, give me a break. To average that over the course of the season is pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, and we are really like-minded that way. But I don't care who's playing a college basketball game. I will just go into a trance and watch it. But but as far as the NBA, and not so much. Kind of the novelty of the Cleveland Cavaliers finally being on the verge of a championship last year, that did catch my attention.
Sure.
But I'm not sure that I see anything this year that's gonna draw me to them. But yeah, that's just an unreal accomplishment. Hey, before break time, we better get to Scott Gurnz's Steel of the Week. That's brought to you by True North Steel, Western Montana's industry leader in quality manufactured and fabricated steel products.
Boy, it's just a basketball-themed show, Denny. My Steel of the Week, it's got to be the Mississippi State Lady Bulldogs defeating the Yukon Women Huskies 66-64 in overtime on a buzzer beater to snap, not only to advance to the national championship game, not only had Yukon not lost in over 3 years, but they had an 111-game winning streak that Mississippi State snaps, and what a season. I know they lost in the chipper, but I tell you what, that is something to tell the kids and the grandkids and what have you, stopping one of the all-time best win streaks in the history of sports.
And they just played a terrific all-around game to earn it. The only thing that really stood out to me that Mississippi State didn't have much control over, maybe it became a poise issue because they were not used to, I know Coach Oriema, according to the sideline reporter, was yelling at him in the first quarter, is that you guys are used to the games being over at halftime. That ain't happening tonight. Going there. Maybe they got a little bit tight, maybe nerves and being in such an unfamiliar situation, but they're a real good free throw shooting team, and they weren't in that game, and that to me was one of the pivotal parts of the outcome of that ball game.
Wow. Well, that is my Steel of the Week. Congratulations.
And that is brought to you by True North Steel, Western Montana's industry leader in quality manufactured and steel products.
Well, one more break, Denny. We'll come back. We'll talk about the Masters, a little bit of Grizzly sports stuff, and Denny, whatever the heck's on your mind, we'll let it loose and talk about it. Okay, buddy?
Got it, mister.
All right. If you need to talk about something, you can talk to me. When we come back on Sports Talk Tonight.
Now back to Missoula's Sports Talk Tonight on KGVO.
Missoula Sports.
Every second of every day.
We're back. Sports Talk Tonight brought to you in part by Access Fitness, Denny, where there is never any initiation.
Never.
Or contracts. Mm-hmm. So get there. It's almost bikini season. I've already got set up for a wax, so get in there.
Oh, Las Vegas changed you.
Oh, goodness.
I wish it had stayed in
for
Vegas.
For the better. Boy, let me tell you, what a city. What a city, Denny. That's all I got to say.
The home of the Raiders, you mean?
The home of the Raiders.
Yeah.
Hey, and anyways, I did
Was there a lot of talk about that when you were
No,
kind of out
you know what? There wasn't. Not a whole heck of
I guess it's maybe too far down the road yet.
I don't think, Vegas is interesting because Vegas is if there's any place in America these days, that is the melting pot of the country, as far as I'm concerned. You've got people coming from out of the country, the people coming to work to support their families. You've got not a lot of homegrown people in Vegas. People come to Vegas, for the glitz, for the, whatever. So, I think once the Raiders get there, I think they'll develop that Las Vegas following. But you're going to see a bunch of fans flying into Vegas to watch the game. And it's got to be a heck of a lot easier flying into Vegas than Oakland.
The other thing you're going to see, and I think you see this a little bit at Arizona Cardinal games, maybe especially when the Cowboys are there, but it doesn't matter. When you watch an Arizona Cardinal home game, it's amazing how many people are cheering for the other team.
Oh, yeah.
It's going to be the same kind of deal.
New York, Chicago,
in Las Vegas. Yeah, it's going to be thousands of people. Hey, the Giants are playing at Vegas this weekend. We're going. It's going to be that kind of deal.
Yep.
It's going to be a lot of those transplants, as you refer to. I think it's going to be a real similar in nature fan base to what Arizona has right now.
Sure. Big weekend, Denny. Golf kicks off this weekend, as far as I'm concerned, with the Masters. Mm-hmm. Dustin Johnson, I don't know if you heard today, or maybe it was yesterday, he's got a rented house down there in Augusta, and he fell down the stairs.
Oh, dear.
Right onto his lower back. So he's up in the air to maybe not participate this weekend. That is one bet that I made some Masters bets about 6 weeks ago, and I don't remember what I bet. My buddy was down. I know I bet on Ricky Fowler. And I like Ricky Fowler this year to break through and win some major tournament. I don't know. I like his bright pants. I mean, I do.
Listen to you.
I do.
You're just such a glitz guy all of a sudden.
I do. I am.
Yeah.
So that's going on. Hey, we are, like we said, Denny, hopefully we'll have Shannon Kate in studio next week. They've got a poker tournament coming up. And we're going to talk about, you know what, I'd love to pick Shannon's brain and just kind of ask her how the season was, good and bad.
Yeah, I hope we can get that firmed up. I think a lot of people would like to hear that too. I can't wait to visit with her about the season. It was nice having, we had talking about women's basketball play-by-play announcers. It was nice having Tom Stajan here a few weeks ago, kind of get his take, his overview of how the season went. But I'm sure that, and I've at least had the opportunity to read it in a few interviews, I'm sure that she's of the frame of mind, you can't fall out of a well. Things cannot get any crazier next season than she's already seen the craziest of the crazy, and you got to believe that's true.
Oh yeah,
you lose a couple of premier players, and then of course all the family things with her mom and her daughters, and man, that and
that husband of hers, jeez,
and that crazy track coach husband of hers. No. But you just know that Coach Schwein, she's obviously got the wherewithal and the perseverance to deal with it, because her demeanor doesn't seem any different to me.
Hey, Shannon Kate Schwein is not going anywhere. I would not be surprised if you saw her here for the next 25 years, manning the bench.
Yeah,
right there.
Well, I wouldn't mind. I wouldn't mind another 25 years doing public address. I'll take that.
Right in the midst of spring ball for the football program.
Yeah.
Like you said, hopefully we'll have Kent Haslam on to talk about the Champion Center.
I don't have the note right in front of me. Doggone it. I meant to grab that, but I think they've got a scrimmage open to the public this Friday. Do you have that, Gurnz?
Is it Friday or is it Saturday?
I thought it was Friday, but I thought it was Friday afternoon, kind of late, but it might be Saturday.
I do not have that here.
Yeah, I had that in my notes, and somehow, kind of like the way I ran the phones tonight. The stuff just got away from me.
Hey, you want to hear something stupid? This is stupid. So,
but not stupid athlete of the week. We've already had that.
No, this. How about maybe stupid fans, Grizzly fans? I'll just say that. Bob Stitt is getting rid of his green hat because too many people complained about it. Why is he wearing a green hat? Why isn't he wearing a Montana hat? No. People, it's so he sticks out in the crowd. Come on, he's calling the plays. give me you want to wear a Bobcat blue hat or something?
I thought that was part of an April Fool's joke where they said. I thought the punchline to that was because it came out on April Fool's Day. I
don't know. You know what?
But you're right. There, even if it was, there are probably
people that say that because they've asked me. It's like, why does he wear a green hat?
Yeah.
I said, if you're not smart enough to know, then don't ask me.
But supposedly, athletic director Kent Haslam came out and said, okay, so this season he's going to start wearing a maroon hat.
A maroon hat? A
maroon, excuse me. He'll start wearing a maroon hat. The team will be wearing green jerseys.
Very good. Very good. Well, it's for the Butte Irish, is what. And speaking of Butte, the spring game is April 22nd, 1 p.m. in Butte, America, in Naranche Stadium. And the scrimmage, like you said, Denny, is at Friday. It's at 5 p.m.
Yeah. Thanks to our executive producer, who, while he could not be in the studio to keep an eye on us, he is listening and said, Friday at 5 o'clock is the scrimmage.
He just sent a text, and it's got a face on there, and he's crying. Kyle, why are you crying? Because you're buying pizza and beer? I think so.
He can see this vision, this dream sports talk program just disintegrating.
Evaporating.
Right before his very ears.
Oh, goodness. Hey, congratulations, Michaela Hood. Pitcher on the softball team.
Times two.
Yeah, she's a freshman. This is Player of the Week, second time. She went 1-1 over the weekend, had 16 strikeouts and 15 innings pitched. Montana 4-2 in the Big Sky, right behind league leader 4-1 Weber State. So Jamie Pinkerton's got him off to the races once again.
Yeah, we better get house band Pinkerton in here. His team's doing well. They're on the road. Good luck to them against Sacramento State this weekend.
And I tell you what, when we figure out our Shannon Schwain segment next week, I'm going to give Ryan Divish a call. He is the beat writer for the Seattle Times of the New York of the Seattle Mariners. He might get to New York sometime. I don't know. Oh, boy. I think we're done, Denny.
I think we are, Gurnz.
And I'm spent.
We'll see you next Wednesday.
Sports Talk Tonight. Gurnz and Bedard. See you next week, Denny.